The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in calling for wide and inclusive consultations, says it is in full support of electoral reform and intends to advocate strongly for it in the coming months. Speaking with the newsroom on Wednesday, GCCI's Senior Vice President Jerry Gavaya Jr. related that among the Chamber's suggestions is for changes to be made to the entire electoral system that will see new and emerging technology being embraced. Gavaya believes that the use of biometrics, facial scanning, and electronic tabulation will go a far way in allaying the fears of citizens linked to claims that there have been dead and migrant voting fraud at the last general and regional elections. The GCCI Vice President posited that these technologies can be inexpensive and stands to reinforce the idea of voter identity.
The good news is that our electoral system is actually very robust in terms of the voter process. To get registered, they take your fingerprints, they take your picture, they create a file for you. You have to scan your fingerprint, they check your data, they check your ID card, then you go and vote. That whole process is very robust. What we would like to see is that reinforced. For example, using things like facial scanning technology, which all of us who have cell phones and who have ever used Snapchat or Instagram at some point or the other has had our face scanned, or even unlocking your phone these days. So it's not technology that is going to be expensive, but it can be used to verify and reinforce the idea of voter identity. So we can, all those allegations of dead voters and people being out of the country essentially start to go away with the use of technology.
As the GCCI anticipates it, once the polling day activities are completed, the data should be made instantly secure and public, posted online for the world to see and scrutinize. GCCI says it intends to push for legislative change that would ensure that election agents found culpable of fraud are dealt with severely. According to Gavaya, there needs to be a review of the unilateral powers and authority for specific staff at the Guyana Elections Commission and the legislative consequence on a criminal scale for people of that nature.
And what we would like to see is legislative change. We would like to see, the act that governs GCOM start having some real repercussions for the people who hold these positions. Because being the CEO or the RO for an area, these are very powerful positions. They are literally deciding the future of our country. And those people need to be picked, selected, and approved in a much more stringent and thorough process.
To this end, the Chamber intends to propose a more stringent process similar to the one currently used for the selection of the Chief Elections Officer to be explored for the hiring of other important officials such as the district returning officers.
For example, to pick the CEO, yes, it's a very thorough process. You need agreements from both parties and you need cooperation there. But from a regional officer perspective, there is nothing like that. And if you remember, the regional officer has the real power. They're the one who declare the results for the region. So they need to be scrutinized, they need to be proposed and selected in the same manner as the CEO. And that's one of the ones that we are really looking forward to pushing for.
Gavaya Jr. has also called for timelines to be imposed on appeals. He said that the Chamber prides itself with being a bipartisan organization working with whoever is in government. Stakeholders in Guyana have long urged moves to ensure the electoral system is reformed. Experiences at the 2020 elections, which led to a 5-month-long delay in declaring the results of the elections, have reinforced the urgency of this reform. Over the last few months, there has been an increase in local and international efforts towards actualizing this before the next general elections. For the newsroom, Kurt Campbell.